humanity pretended to go extinct and rebuilt civilization, and it was broadcast live. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76. The jungle is its best destination. The little milk dog is here again. So cute. A cute little puppy. You look cute at it now. When it grows up, it looks cute at you too. Could it be his mother who was bitten to death? Too pitiful. It should be. In order to protect the cub, I sacrificed myself. Laughing to death. This little puppy is afraid and dare not step forward. See this scene. Jiang Kui also realized. No, this little guy. Most likely it is the cub of a wild wolf. Fang K. The she wolf was probably there to protect her, was forced to fight the Komodo dragon to the death. For its life. Gave his life. However, Jiang Kui did not treat the cub. Give birth to any sympathy, because that's what the laws of nature are. Mercy will not let the enemy give up the pursuit of prey. Everyone is the same, including Jiang Kui. The spirit of being a mother is strong. In a civilized society it might be rewarded. But here. Not much use. There are in the jungle. Just kill and be killed. Jiang Kui will not give up his resource plunder because of this. There will be no sympathy for this inexperienced fellow. Make it fate. The best way is to let nature decide, because compared to human compassion. The jungle is its best home, and only so. It may be able to gain a firm foothold in the food chain. Thinking. Jiang Kui faces the cub's eyes wide open. The aura of invisible threats immediately come to life. See. The wolf cub was reluctant. In the end, he could only quietly retreat into the jungle. See this scene. In the live room. Some viewers thought the little guy was pitiful. But some viewers felt that Jiang Kui did nothing wrong. Too poor. It is so small. Is it difficult to live without a mother? I can only say that you underestimate the viability of animals. I think there is nothing wrong with Master Kui. Nature is so cruel. Yes. Your enemy will never give up hunting you because of pity on you. What's so pitiful? Are you kidding me? Soon. Dissuade the cubs. Jiang Kui took off the wolf's skin on the spot. Arrange with rattan. Because wolf meat is poisonous, so gave up. Again. Wolf meat was not good either. Sucks even simmering for a day. The taste is similar to the feeling of eating paper. However, the wolf teeth did not fall. Thinking. Jiang Kui knocked open the wolf's mouth with a knife. Cut the flesh. The largest wolf tooth was removed. It's as long as a finger. Looking very domineering. It's pretty cool to wear on your neck after treatment. Cooked wolves. He walked over to Kellen's body again. Avoid the poison glands in the mouth. Knock down a posterior molar with a battle axe. Corin's teeth. Jagged. That's why. It can be used with little bite force. By tearing the flesh and venom in the glands, you can make some guys bigger than yourself. An important reason. But teeth of a Komodo dragon. Almost no venom is stored. So no need to worry. But have to say. The taste is indeed a bit heavy. And it still smells fermented, except for the teeth. Kellen's skin is also a good thing. Very stiff. Comparable to crocodile skin, especially the scaly leather armor on the back. Chapter 77. It's too real. Isn't this me who is eager to cook? See this scene. Jiang Kui was also happy. While nibbling on chicken thighs, looking at it with interest. It surprised me that this little guy actually followed him all the way back to the camp. Interesting. At this moment, the little guy squatted less than 3 meters away from Jiang Kui. It may be because of the mountains and waters. The hair on the body is dirty. A pair of black bean-like eyes spinning straight. Take a peek at Jiang Kui for a while. After a while, he looked at the chicken drumstick in Jiang Kui's hand. Short and thick front paws keep trying to move forward. But never took a step forward. I don't know if it's because of the fear of the bonfire in front of me. Still afraid of this meat-eating man. Seeing such a silly scene, the audience in the live broadcast room burst into laughter again. Ha ha ha. So cute. The little guy should have taken a fancy to the drumstick in Kui's hand. I really want to hug it. Master Kui, this time you have a big deal. 23,333 Leo Kui is very popular. Haha, Warwick humbly kneels and licks the first jungler in the national service. That's it. After a while. One person and one wolf play against each other. It went on for a long time. The British white wolf is also a pack animal. But compared to inland wolves, their group consciousness, however, is much more diluted. Except for big hunting. Otherwise it won't show up in groups. Because of living on an island. They are all smaller than the 687 wolves that live inland. Usually. Newborn wolf. They are usually led by the big wolf to live in the woods deep in the island. Until the little wolf grows up. Will follow the wolf to the beach to hunt for food. The Britannia wolf was a subordinate of the Inuit. It is also the first hunting animal to be domesticated by humans. Originally lived in the Arctic Circle. Later followed the Inuit all the way across the Bering Strait and came to the north of America. Then it started blooming everywhere. That's why. They like to gather by the sea. The reason for eating seafood. These wolves living on isolated islands in the Pacific Ocean should be, unsurprisingly, the masterpieces of Maori. Or they survived because of the influence of the opening of new routes similar to the British white wolf. There shouldn't be many. Under the watchful eyes of the little guy. A chunk of fragrant chicken thigh. It was solved by Jiang Kui in 2 or 3. There was not much meat left. The little guy seemed to be in a hurry and screamed while sticking out his tongue. It seems to be longing for human arms. Hey. Jiang Kui glanced at it. His eyes were cold. He drank slowly. Next second. Looking at the hostility in Jiang Kui's eyes, the little guy was so frightened that he couldn't stand still and almost fell to the ground. Finally. The thirst for food is still no match for the inner chunky limbs hastily dragged the round body. Back in the woods. Haha! Exclamation point. 6666. Leo Kui. You are too bad. A cute little guy has absolutely no resistance to such a cute cub. Little guy, this guy's too fierce. Withdraw. I laughed so hard, I was almost scared to stand still. Hurry up in a hurry. Dissuade the cubs again. The roast chicken on the leaves was also almost cold. Although I ate a chicken leg. But a hungry stomach. Still not getting the satisfaction it deserves. Then Jiang Kui directly picked up a whole chicken. Without hesitation. I ate it in big gulps. Oven roasted chicken. The taste is much better than other methods of cooking. At the same time rich in fat. The taste is also very good. Chapter 78. Shocked police dog training experts. This is the correct way to lick dogs. Boom. When you see a magical scene, the live broadcast exploded instantly. One after another barrage. Came in no time. F****K. Kui is a bit east-west. Too strong. What the hell did Lord Kui do? Isn't it just a few gestures? How did the little guy become so obedient? I see. Is Master Kui training it? Interesting. I don't understand. So ask, is Master Kui angering the 3 wolves? Eagle Source audience. Got. This Chinese person is too good. I have a bold idea. Will he be proficient in animal language? Otherwise, why can this little guy become so obedient? Eastwin audience. Beast language is a bit ridiculous, but he must be training this little guy in some way. It must be like this. But the problem is, this is a wolf, not a dog. It can really be trained to be obedient assistant. White bear audience. The little brother is so strong. I feel that the most powerful police dog training experts in our country can't compare to him. Billions of viewers were stunned for a moment, have absolutely no idea what's going on. To no point this guy is not a dog, but a fierce wolf, although it is still small. But even so. This is not an ordinary dog, or even a professional hunting dog can match it. Talk about training a dog to be a hunting dog. It's nothing. But training wolves. It was the first time they met. I have never heard of this before. The most important thing is that this guy just used some simple gestures to complete this godlike operation. At the same time, the other side of the ocean. Eagle Source country. Twist York Metropolis. Transportation Bureau Police Dog Training Center. The Police Dog Training Center cost $13 million to build 72 acres of land. It is the largest facility of its kind in Eagle Source. Inside the office. Finished today's work. Kevin is lying on the sofa in the office. While smoking a cigar, while watching Jiang Kui's live broadcast. Kevin is a world-renowned expert in police dog training. Trained a large number of professional domestication talents. Kwan Chan is serving as a police dog. They are all connected to him. Compared to other audiences out of professional habit. He also quickly learned that this Chinese man should be trying to train wild wolves, but because there is no inheritance compared with the previous life. The world's technology in domesticating beasts is not a little bit different. Domestication means too much reliance on technology, relative gesture commands and other primitive domestication techniques. Almost nothing has been passed down. Therefore, when I saw Jiang Kui made a few gestures and threw the small wooden stick out, he didn't have much reaction, even thought it was kind of funny. Oh no, is this your training technique? You're such a crazy guy, too. No, the domestication of dogs is very systematic. A lot of instruments are required. Just a few gestures can make the wolf obediently obey. This is simply Arabian Nights. So at first, Kevin just thought about Jiang Kui's idea. Very funny but not seriously because in his experience, this is impossible. Chapter 79. A double rotor of one person and one wolf. 3 consecutive questions from the audience. Now, a wave of wonderful tracking and picking up came to an end. Almost all online viewers were shocked. Shout out amazing. Many foreign audiences even played metaphysics. To put it bluntly, this is definitely the magic spell of the ancient East. Otherwise, with just a few gestures, how could it be possible to make the ferocious wolf bow its head? Actually, they don't know. Domestication mastered by Jiang Kui. That is a summary and fusion of the essence of all animal taming techniques in tens of thousands of years of human history. How can you not cheat? Not to mention this kind of British white wolf that is not very aggressive. It is not a problem to train the cubs of the North American grey wolf. Immediately after, just when the audience was in a hurry, Jiang Kui stretched out his right hand again. Then he slowly opened his mouth and said, "My name is Jiang Kui." The little guy looked at Jiang Kui's hand. A bit unclear, so don't know what this means at all. Looking a little helpless. 6, 8, 7. Last in a hurry, he turned twice in place. Helplessly, he could only tentatively open his mouth. Tim added his palm. C. Jiang Kui shook his head and picked up a bone. "Look here. Use the bones." To attract the little guy's eyes, he put his right hand on his left. Then separate again. Put your left hand on your right. After completing the action, he picked up the bone and shook it in front of it, meaning, when I reach out, learn to respond. That's it. After doing it over and over again, Jiang Kui stretched out his right hand again. Show your palm. Put it in front of the little guy. Look at Jiang Kui. He looked at the bones in his hands again. Finally, the little guy hesitated for a while. Finally stretched out his left front paw. On Jiang Kui's right hand. F***K. It's just amazing. How many times did you make the wolf so obedient? I feel that this chubby IQ is so high. Isn't Master Kui good at teaching? Kui yides. The audience was shocked by the result, but looking at Jiang Kui again, his face sank. Take the stick and knock off its left paw. What's the situation? For Jiang Kui's move. Everyone felt incredible. Aren't people doing a good job? Actually, the reason is simple. For the training of the wolf dog, we must compare every penny. Every detail cannot be ignored. Only in this way it can obey orders. Competent for heavy hunting tasks, left and right hands are the most basic logical thinking training. Must start small. Once formed. It's hard to correct. What is the training for? Is to make it serve itself better. Follow your own thoughts and ideas. To complete the established hunting and gathering tasks. It's not about cultivating a stunner. If all I want is a rabbit, you can't bring a goat back. If I want you to turn left. You must not go to the right hand. Jiang Kui picked up the bone and motioned for it. And then emphasized it again. Extend your right hand again. This time the little guy thought about it seriously. Seems to taste the pain of mistakes. Obediently stretched out his right paw. In Jiang Kui's hands. Good boy. After giving encouragement, Jiang Kui immediately threw the predetermined reward food in front of it. He touched its head and sat on the ground. And see here. The audience finally realized it. It turns out that Lord Kui is teaching him to distinguish between left and right. F***K. This is too strict. 6,666,666. Chapter 80. Got plan ahead. Mesopotamian glass refining. Clear skies over the sea. Gentle breeze. Coconut tree. Sandy beach. Ocean waves harmonious and warm. Woven into a beautiful landscape with a very tropical style. Just look at this picture. The audience really can't imagine why Jiang Kui said this. Could it be that all these beautiful sights will end in a while, in its place, a hurricane? Here. No, that the weather will change. Jiang Kui didn't delay any longer, simply tidy up for personal hygiene. Then he put the wooden basket on his back. With the battle axe, Dabe went out the door. Get ready to chop some dry wood. Just in case it rains a lot later, it may be difficult to find materials to start a fire. One man and one wolf. Paste into the woods. To the creek. First drink some water and then start the collection task. In the process of chopping wood, Jiang Kui didn't give up training Dabe either. Put the wooden basket in a fixed position. Give it some sticks from time to time. Let it run errands for itself. At the beginning. Dabe is still a little patient. But not long after it seems that I'm tired of this boring work. On the contrary, I have a great interest in the flowers and plants in the jungle! 19 faced this situation. Jiang Kui didn't say anything. After all, this is an untamed wild white wolf. Born in the wilderness, there is a natural sense of familiarity with every plant and tree in nature. Don't get too involved. Keep it as wild as it should be. This is the best way to tame. Soon. An hour later, one man and one wolf returned with a reward. Just arrived at camp. Bean-sized raindrops swept the sky and covered the ground, crackling. Wet everything in an instant. Between heaven and earth. Change your smile. Completely change the look. See the scene. Audience in the live room. Shocked again. All kinds of barrages are coming. Huh? Is it really raining? K. It's amazing. It was fine just now, but is it raining now? 666,666. Brothers, have you noticed? Lord Kui is staring at the sky for a while every morning, but in fact, he is observing the sky. It seems to be the case. This group of viewers watch Jiang Kui's live broadcast every day. For his daily life. That's all too familiar. I heard someone say that now. Many people are stunned. It turns out that Master Kui is not in a daze, but be prepared for a rainy day. But just by looking at the sky. How can you tell the weather? This kind of thing. It has been mentioned in some ancient costume dramas, but can it be true that TV shows are TV shows? Just looking at the celestial phenomena, it seems that you can't see anything, right? A blue sky. A few clouds. The big dealies that a few more seagulls end up. From these known conditions alone, can you tell what the weather will be like? Chapter 81. The whole network discussion triggered by a piece of designed straw paper. What? Burning glass? I heard right. Soon. Deliver survival. Redemption done. Related manufacturing technologies incarnate into a stream of data. Rushing in. Various primitive techniques related to the production of glaze in Sumerian civilization. All are deeply ingrained in Jiang Kui's mind. That's right. The so-called Mesopotamia style glass. In fact, it is a product born in the early Sumerian civilization. It has a history of more than 4,000 years. The earliest glass products appeared in ancient Egypt. It was not born on the plains of Mesopotamia. But compared to ancient Egypt. The level of craftsmanship in summer was clearly much higher. It is also more applicable to Jiang Kui's current situation. No need to use too much material. Only use sea sand. Characteristic grass ash. There are also lime and so on to be mixed. It is then fired in a crucible into a liquid state. After cooling, the glass is obtained. The firing process is not difficult. Equipment used. Almost all of them are in the camp. Crucible. Lee cross flame kiln. Blower equipment. Everything is there. Not to mention the raw materials. The most important thing on the island is the sea sand. The biggest difficulty in the whole process is not the raw material equipment. It's about how the fired glass solution turns into the shape you want. That is a piece of glass window. Jiang Kui's solution was to place the glass solution on a lime-fired chopping board. Then roll it out of logs. The amount of work is not very large. But more materials are needed. Quick lime. How many shells does this have to pick up? Cool. Thinking. He sighed and opened the papyrus. The firing process is briefly designed above. Dimensions. firing temperature, melting point of sea sand, lime solutions, and log rollers and more. Wrote a whole lot. Because it's too messy. Point plus right where you want to point. Also very professional point. Therefore, after the audience watched it, they all called it too brain burning. What is this? After reading Master KUI's notes, I feel like my CPU is about to burn out. What is Leo KUI going to do? I don't understand it at all. I recognize two words. Hey sure, isn't sea sand just sand? Is Master KUI going to build a house again? Sand equals build a house. This is the optimal solution that the hundreds of millions of viewers in the live broadcast room came up with at the risk that the CPU might be scrapped. Point majority agrees, but there are also objections. The chatter is endless. Guess and guess the heat has skyrocketed. Point, but in the end it didn't work. But point the heat brought by the discussion was a scribbled design sketch written by Jiang Kui. Abruptly. Point in one fell swoop, I sent the Daily Express on the strongest nation Twitter. The design sketches of the China Challenger are out. What do you think his next plan will be? In the comments below. Point numerous international experts, heavyweight scholars, and well-known personalities have left messages. Lime and sea sand are mentioned on the straw paper, so I think he wants to make new building materials. Maybe the bad weather made him think of building a new shelter. But the question is where to get the lime. I agree with this point of view. Most likely it is a brand new production material, and the incentive is this sudden rainstorm. No. I asked a friend of mine who is proficient in Chinese. Although the Chinese brother's handwriting is very scribbled, he can still easily see the word round wood after identification. He must have wanted to use sand and wood to make some kind of special handicraft raw materials. That's right. I think it's almost like this. My god. What the hell is this Chinese going to do? At the same time. Point on the major media platforms in China, there are too many related discussions. Point Mika, somehow, awful. Anyone who has read this design straw paper has drawn a big question mark in their minds. Outside voices. Point intensified. Point rain on the island. Point also getting bigger, but this low pressure. Point never lasts. Come fast. Point go fast. Less than an hour before and after. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82. You are invincible, even if you have to make glass yourself. Natural co-solvent. This sentence, Jiang Kui put it lightly. Point, but billions of viewers in the live broadcast room can hear it clearly. It turns out that experts from all walks of life are guessing. Point no one guessed the idea. The real purpose of Kui cleaning the sand is actually to make glass. Sea sand equals glass. How is this possible? These two things, one is a transparent solid craft. Point one is sand everywhere. Point how did you link them together? Now point this is the thought of the vast majority of ordinary viewers in the live broadcast room. I join. Lord Kui, are you kidding me? My god. This is too outrageous. How can sand turn into glass? Yes. I can't figure it out at all. Isn't all glass made of inorganic minerals? Is sea sand also considered inorganic minerals? Really? The main ingredient in sea sand is silica. That is, quartz. What is this TM not an inorganic mineral? F***K. It feels really possible. You are invincible, even if you have to make the glass yourself. A remark from Jiang Kui point immediately let countless experts and scholars suddenly realize, don't say it. Use sea sand to fire glass. It is indeed feasible. Whether it can be successful or not will not be said. Point just this bold idea, it's enough to be shocking. Just don't be too rude. 690. But point when they calm down. Point a new problem has popped up. To no point it is impossible to successfully refine glass with sea sand alone. The melting point of sea sand is as high as 1700 degrees. Even the Ascension kiln and the camp can stabilize the temperature at around 1600. Point still can't refine it. No co-solvents and other minerals. The melting point can't be lowered at all. Realize this. Countless people immediately raised the crux of the problem. Then point another round of brain-burning discussions began quietly. Eagle source audience. Got? I don't think so. The idea is really amazing, but without co-solvents such as borax, the melting point of sea sand can't be lowered at all. East-Win audience, whether it can be successful or not, this bold idea is enough for players from other ethnic groups to learn for a lifetime. I have completely given up on Ikeda-kun. This cowardly guy. Korean audience, this should be the most outrageous thing I've heard since the show started. Sand is used to make glass. I can't believe it. The two things are not on the same plane at all. Ignorance. At the same time. China's studio. Watch the live screen. The hostess Lenzio. Take a deep breath. BJFH. Then thoughtfully said, live. Streaming is getting more and more interesting. It turned out that Jiang Kui's idea in the design sketch was actually to make glass, but many viewers in front of the screen, like me, are still skeptical about this bold idea. Academician. Zoo. Do you think this method has the possibility of success? Today. Sitting expert in the studio. He is still academician Zhu Zening of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. Here the host throwing questions. The old-fashioned academician Zhu smiled and nodded. The feasibility is there. The possibility is still uncertain. Why? Lin Zhao asked. After organizing the language, Zhu Zening said leisurely, the feasibility is, because sea sand can indeed be used to fire glass. 35 We were just misled by his design at first, thinking that he was studying some material, and it was not, until we heard him reveal the answer that we realized that it was to make glass. 5 The making of glass is not complicated at all for us. Very simple, colored, transparent, corrugated, all kinds of shapes can be made. 35 But from the current situation of Jiang Kui, it is still very difficult to successfully fire glass. For example, the problem of co-solvent that many people mentioned just now, that is, soda ash. Without this thing, the melting point of sea sand can't be lowered, and no matter how you burn it, it's still sand. Zhu Zening is getting old. But the rhetoric is still very clear. Truly a top physicist. I listen to his more systematic explanation. Some viewers who don't understand why. Also almost know the principle of some glass firing. In short. The problem facing Jiang Kui right now. It can be summed up entirely in one sentence. Chapter 83. Shock. The key to the eternal problem. Lord Kui, please accept my knees. Is this soda ash? In the live room. I don't know who said that. Suddenly the barrage exploded. What? You said Master Kui is making soda ash. Isn't this just ordinary grass? How did it become soda ash? F***K. It turns out that Master Kui had already thought about the problem before us. It's incredible. If you hadn't seen it with your own eyes, I really can't believe it. Just filter the grass ash. Dry on fire. Can you get soda ash? This is really outrageous. Speak up. This looks like weed. But it's actually a big herb with a background. It must be extraordinary, right? Otherwise. Everything in front of you. How to explain? Soon, a whole new question was thrown. Once again sparked a heated discussion on the internet. Everyone talks not so lively for this problem. Inside the noisy China studio. It's also noisy. 3 experts. Discussed for a while. Finally. Professor Chen Wenbin from the Department of Chemistry, Yank University. The answer to the question is given. If I read correctly, this should be a herb that grows in salt marshes and seaside areas, and its scientific name is salt malt. After the ash of salt malt melts, it is rich in sodium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is composed of metal ions and acid ions, which is what we commonly call soda ash. Most of the soda ash raw materials needed by modern industry are extracted and synthesized from minerals. There are basically no cases of extraction from plants. No accident. This is a big discovery. Looking at the big screen, Jiang Kui extracted soda ash. Although the old professor seems calm on the surface. But it's really shocking. My heart is surging. It's very shocking. The history of modern glass manufacturing is not very long. Just centuries, but many related ancient books. But there are records of refining glass. The earliest dates can even be traced back thousands of years. All the time. The question about what kind of flux the ancients used to smelt glass the relevant academic circles have never stopped discussing. Because of the technical level at that time, many chemical raw materials could not be obtained through technology. Therefore, many scholars have identified the smelting technology of the ancients. There must be some hidden secrets Only point it is now unverifiable, but this seen today point. But it brought this issue back to the academic field of view, since the grass and wood ash of salt malt can be extracted into soda ash. Craftsmen from thousands of years ago. Will it be like Jiang Kui 2. Have you mastered the technique of obtaining soda ash with special plant ash? It is very possible. Chen Wenbin's inference immediately caused an uproar in the live broadcast room. If the inference is true, then Jiang Kui's move will undoubtedly help the academic world to solve this eternal mystery. Foggrass, please accept my knee. Amazing mild Kui. Master Kui is really smart. Why can't I think of it? Up your posture. It turns out that the ancients made glass like Kui. Is this a big discovery? Soon. The barrage is higher than the wave. As the heat rises, boats rise. The news of Jiang Kui's revelation of the mystery of glass products for thousands of years immediately made the front page headlines of various media. Relevant academic representatives have published articles one after another. Call this the biggest discovery of the century. The official Twitter of Yank University even tweeted for the first time that it would immediately organize a scientific research team to conduct such research. Salt malt is indeed something that was often used in the earliest glass refining by humans for this world, where history and culture have produced huge faults. This common grass grows in salt marshes and seaside areas. Chapter 84. CaCO 3 ITEMPERATUR equals CaO plus CO2. Start refining, and the fluid is released. What? Shell equals lime. F asterisk asterisk K. Awesome. CaCO 3 ITEMPERATUR equals CaO plus CO2. Big brother upstairs. Please speak human words. Cheating. It really starts with one pair of hands, and the rest are all made up. I take it. No wonder Master Kui picked up so many shells just now. It turned out to be calcined lime. Heard someone say that. The audience in the live room and the experts in the studio suddenly realized shells are indeed a good way to get lime compared to limestone. This stuff is so good to collect. The place where Jiang Kui lives is an island in itself. Don't have too many shells. Just find a beach or a corner and you can see it everywhere. Shells are calcined at high temperature. It will burn into calcium oxide. After adding water, 690 can also become a calcium hydroxide aqueous solution. Calcium hydroxide, isn't it the main raw material for firing glass? Absolutely. This idea is simply awesome. How did he think of it? The principle, we all know. But such a clever idea does not mean that everyone can think of it. Have to say, Jiang Kui's wave of inferences, it's real for the audience. Soon. Under natural ventilation. The temperature in the kiln has been kept in a very suitable range. At the same time, various shells wrapped in layers of charcoal fire. Also has a speed visible to the naked eye. A simple chemical reaction is taking place. The surface gradually turns grey. The texture is getting thinner. Guess it won't be long. Replacement can be done at high temperature. Bay. Give me that stick. Jiang Kui probed the top of the furnace to observe the movement inside. One side commanded. Get the master's order. Dabe stayed in place for a while. Seems to be thinking about something. Immediately, he turned around, picked up the wooden stick pointed by Jiang Kui, and ran over in 3 steps. 66,666. Master Kui, I'm afraid you're not an animal trainer, right? 666. How long has it been since then? So obedient. It's hard to imagine that just a few gestures can make the little guy so obedient. Wolves are similar to dogs, and they are relatively easy species to train. If it were replaced by other animals, this effect should not be achieved, right? It feels the same with other things. Are you a new audience? Before, Huabao had to take a detour when he met Leo Kui. Do you think how bad he is? Take the stick that Dabe handed over. Jiang Kui gave a thumbs up. Good boy, stay away. 5. The little guy seemed to really understand Jiang Kui's words. Wagging tail. Run away immediately. Call. After leaving Dabe, Jiang Kui took a deep breath. Stirred with a wooden stick in the charcoal fire for a long time. Don't stop until you feel it's almost over. Immediately after, he immediately picked up the stone adze on the ground and aimed it at the kiln mouth with a hoe. Crash. 35. Next second. The kiln fell apart. Countless grey white shells and red charcoal fires poured out one after another and scattered on the ground. The temperature is high. Is constantly venting white gas. Now after prolonged burning and contact with air, the color of the shells is getting closer and closer to quicklime. Loose texture. Chapter 85. Incredible operation. Lord KUI does not deceive me. Now, in the live room. Needle drop can be heard. Silent. Even the barrage is much less. All the audience, experts, and even the host are holding their breath, watching Jiang Kui's every move. Look forward to the moment the miracle happened. F***ck. So excited. Yes. Don't panic. I believe that Lord KUI will succeed. Alchemist Zenjuki is online. Haha. Stop what you're doing. Jiang Kui put down the blower push-pull rod. The probe looked into the kiln. Make sure everything is fine with the crucible. Just started to prepare the lime chopping board to set the melt. Freshly smelted liquid glass can't take it out right away. The purpose of this is to keep the solution as fluid as possible while cooling down. If not, when pressing, it is easy to burn through the lime chopping board directly because the temperature is too high. So anyway all to bring its temperature down to the melting point of lime. But don't overcool. Only in this way. When pressed into a tablet, it will not stick to the chopping board. 19. Otherwise it's all in vain. Take this time. Jiang Kui turned around in the camp and chose an open space. Clean up leftovers. Spread a layer of clay first. Another layer of lime water was applied. Then use a wooden stick to roll it out into a boxy shape. Then find combustibles such as dry wood and leaves. Put on top. Take out a tinder and set it on fire. Because there is no professional steel chopping board and rolling equipment. Only try this relatively primitive method first. This method is also what Summer was good at. If that doesn't work, go to the slate. If not, think of other ways to improve it. That's how survival is anyway. Problem found. Solve the problem. Soon. About 10 minutes passed before and after the fire is on the chopping board. See. Jiang Kui cleaned up the ash floating on it. Original clay and lime solution. It had already turned into a very hard grey white lime ground. Immediately after holding 2 sticks, he walked to the kiln. Carefully clip out the red hot crucible. Place on a freshly fired lime chopping board. Until the position is adjusted. All the glass solution inside is poured on it. Due to cooling down the temperature. The solution temperature is just right now, both lower than the melting point of lime. Also in great shape. Soon. After spreading the solution, Jiang Kui got off his horse, took a breath, and picked up a relatively sturdy log. Aim for the melt, put it on top with the fastest speed, and roll repeatedly. Next second, accompanied by a squeak, the surface of the stick carbonized quickly. But now look at the solution on the chopping board. It has also become a thin piece. Boxy. Very neat. See this. While the solution has not cooled completely, Jiang Kui strikes again along the edge of the chopping board, cut off any excess corners. As such. A near perfect handmade glass prototype is almost there. Next, just let it sit for a while. It becomes completely transparent. Look at the glass solution that has not yet cooled. Jiang Kui raised the corner of his mouth and smiled. It seems that this method still works. The only downside is that not so convenient. Secondly, because the rolling is too rough, the material is not complete. Even after molding. Chapter 86. Time magazine cover character, the world's most influential. No one. China is boiling. This moment. Countless barrages like a torrent. Instant explosion. Make the live broadcast room popular. Reached an unprecedented peak when audiences around the world look through the screen. When looking at the rays of light reflected from the rough glass, their performance. Even more excited than the party. Jiang Kui. Because no matter who it is, this is a historic moment. At the same time. It's also a heartwarming moment. Before that. There may be doubts, but now these unwarranted voices. But it's all gone. He really did it. Time lapse. Willow shoots on the moon. Into the night. After a simple dinner, Jiang Kui played with Dabe for a while. Then went back to the house. Lie down on the bed and fall asleep. Until dawn. The following few days the live stream continues. In order to install bright glass windows and doors for your cabin as soon as possible. One person and one wolf went back and forth between the camp and the beach several times. collected quite a lot of materials. See sand point, salt malt point, shell point, then follow the method of the previous test point before. And after a total of 8 or 9 pieces of square glass were a find point with the improvement of proficiency. Jiang Kui's hand making skills will naturally become more and more perfect. The result is getting more and more perfect. Glass surface point impurities such as sawdust and dust become less and less, although the transparency is still the same as before point. But many problems have been solved, such as rolling point. Use heavier logs, it will greatly shorten the carbonization time of wood. Another example point, when cooling the melt point, the color of the oxide layer can roughly determine the current temperature and so on. And with glass, the next task is to make them into doors and windows. Install it in a given location point. The making of doors and windows is not a big deal point, very simple point. Take 4 sticks, use a knife in the middle of the stick, respectively. Point, dig a groove roughly equal to the thickness of the glass top. Cut point, make a straight tenon point. After embedding in glass, leave a gap point, then assemble it together subsequently. Point, then take wooden sticks as beams, secure with clay in place of door and window frames. Use rattan instead of bolts, and then complete the door and window gaps and beams fixed. When opening the window, point, support with wooden sticks. Point, when the window is closed, point, just remove it. Point, the same goes for doors through the top door lever. You can easily realize the simple switch function. Point, pretty perfect. The day after the doors and windows are installed. Point, the island just ushered in another rain, as Jiang Kui expected. Point, as doors and windows have withstood the test of wind and rain. Point, until the rain stopped. Point, the ground inside the house has always maintained its original appearance. Point, with the heated Kang. Point, very dry and refreshing. Point, and at point, look at the wind and rain outside. Point, enjoy the warmth of the heated Kang. Point, not to mention how comfortable it is. The key is because of the transparent windows, lighting and views have not been affected in any way. Group sitting on the bed. Point, you can see clearly through the window. Point, see what's going on inside the camp. Great viewpoint, even the coconut trees on the beach are within sight. Point, how uncomfortable. To this day, from launch to now, Jiang Kui's various operations, it has been completely forgotten that the show he participated in is a doomsday survival live broadcast. Chapter 87. Terrifying killer bees. Jiang Kui's countermeasures. The hive is huge. Point, dark point, but the honey in the hive is a little too much. Fully. Point, almost dripping. Point, just look at it. Point, it will make your mouth water. Around the hive. Point, surrounded by black bees. Point, fly around. Point, after approaching. Point, the hum is even more deafening. F***K. Such a big beehive, a lot of honey on it. The size of this bee is really not small. Looking at this scene, I'm afraid there must be thousands of them. This is going to be stung. I can't imagine it. Amazing. But, what kind of bee is this bee? It looks different from the bees in China. Audiences in the barrage. Point, chatted and discussed. Point, as they say, bees are really big. Point, there are thousands of them densely packed. A large piece of black press. The scene is magnificent. Unlike ordinary bees, these guys have extremely sharp needles on the back of their tails, curled up under the slender belly. Point, all over black. Point, the wings are translucent and light colored. Point, just look at this. You know it's not good. Here. Point, after approaching, Jiang Kui recognized it at a glance. Point, these bees are no ordinary bees, but killer bees. Killer bees are the same as ordinary bees, though. Point, has the habit of feeding pollen. Point, but very aggressive. Nesting sites are concentrated. Point, and take more group action. Point, once found to be invaded by 693. Point, it can be attacked in a very short time. Point, as long as the target is not hunted. Point, it can even hunt down intruders for up to 24 hours. Never die. Point, very horrible. Killer bees are not a single species of bee. Point, it is a product of a common wasp that has been bred with other wild bees in the jungle. Point, once, because of a killer bee spread incident. Point, distributed all over the world. The types are also varied. Point, lethal to humans and animals. Aggressive behavior of these guys. Point, related to pheromones secreted by the body. However, although killer bees are extremely aggressive, they also have weaknesses. That is, very afraid of the pungent smell, such as garlic, pepper, nipita and other plants, because the sense of smell is sensitive. Point, once you smell these smells, these terrifying black bees, you will lose your combat effectiveness immediately. If it is like dealing with ordinary bees, use smoky fire. Point, must die horribly. Look at the huge beehive hanging on the branches. Jiang Kui didn't move for a long time. He seems to be thinking about something. Soon an idea that was enough to surprise everyone in the live broadcast room broke into his mind. The other side inside the global studio. When I saw this scene, Nellie Stephen, an expert on flora and fauna, who has been sitting on the edge, pupils instantly dilate. Beads of sweat suddenly appeared on his forehead. The whole person seems to see something extremely terrifying. So nervous. Nellie Stephen is the chief expert at the Scripps Research Institute, the most famous private research institute in Eagle Source ! 76 years old this year, 1950s. In order to study and solve the serious forest pests and diseases of Minnesota, the research team he led has introduced many bee species from various countries and regions around the world. Trying to breed a special bee that eats pests. And numerous bees among them is an unknown wild bee from South Africa. Eat pests exclusively. Honey production is also particularly high. But very aggressive. Chapter 88. Lord Kui is turning himself into a Hulk. What the hell? Why is this happening? This scene in the live broadcast. It's getting more and more confusing for the audience. Mash the weeds, apply on the body. OMG. What is this operation? Be reasonable. What matters now? Shouldn't you just leave now? After all, these are not ordinary bees. It's the terrifying killer bee. If that's what Steven said. If you stay here again. In case the swarm is set as an invader, isn't it miserable? For Jiang Kui's every move. The audience was stunned the whole time. I can't get the point. Don't know about this crazy guy. What exactly are you going to do? F***K. What's the situation? I'm worried. Why do you still dare to stay here? What did Leo Kui put on his body? Question mark face. Is Master Kui trying to turn himself into a Hulk? Goddamn Hulk. Big brother, are you laughing so hard that I inherited my ant flower shell? Master Kui. Get out of here. This is a killer bee. It's too dangerous. I feel like Master Kui is not afraid at all. Everyone guess. What is he going to do? Guess what? Who the hell knows what he's doing? Simply crazy. At this moment. These ideas, it is a true portrayal of the hearts of countless audiences. But a little they can be sure. That is to face the terrifying killer bees. Jiang Kui doesn't seem to be afraid. The expression is light and cloudy. Whistling. Enjoy the whole journey. Just sit on the ground. Slowly pour the freshly mashed green juice. Apply on the body. Occasionally take a sniff. Even frowning. Look like this. He doesn't seem to care about the extremely destructive killer bees at all. That's right. That's what it feels like. Here. When people are talking, Jiang Kui has already put the juice of nippy to mustard. Smeared all over the body. Any exposed places have not been spared. Immediately. He stood up. Pull out a cane from the waist. Attached to both ends of the sandals. Very calmly walk to the big tree. Look up at the beehive overhead. Then just a stride. Whoosh. Instantly. Hug the trunk. Then close your legs. Use the friction of the rattan between the shoes. Climb up little by little. What's up with this? Boom. This is the situation. The barrage exploded directly. F***K. What kind of trouble is this? Kui, be careful. Isn't this going to die? I can't understand more and more. Eagle Source audience. Got this Chinese man. Is he going to see God? Darnging audience. Letter. Machine. Pull. Lee. Nay. What is this guy doing? Aren't you afraid of death? Guerrilla audience. OMO. He doesn't seem to realize the seriousness of the problem at all. At the same time, inside the global studio, looking at the big screen. The hostess Guan King frowned. I have absolutely no idea how to organize my language. Immediately shocked. Why did he do this? It is clear for Jiang Kui's actions. Her heart is also full of doubts. And see this scene. The three experts present were also in an uproar, especially the elderly Stephen. The facial features of the whole face. They're all coming together to describe it with jaw-dropping. Not at all, because as a witness to the bee plague. He knows the bloodthirsty horror of killer bees better than anyone else. It's a fully armed search team. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89. Shrimp and Pig Heart. Is this TM obviously immune to buff? This moment, a magical scene presented in the live broadcast point immediately shocked all the audience. Think about it point I can't figure out why this is happening. Scary killer bees, next to Jiang Kui point it's like it's been changed. Very apprehensive about it. Completely lost its due combat power and aggressiveness. Don't hear, don't tell point even Jiang Kui has threatened his own nest point no sign of resistance. Instead, become very docile. How is this going? 2-6. Lord Kui, how did he do it? Could it have something to do with the green things Kui painted on your body? I just wanted to say. That should be it. That weed is definitely not an ordinary weed. It is probably some kind of herb. Herbs. This TM is obviously immune buff right? 697. I just want to say one thing. Lord Kui is cheating. Eagle source audience. Why are these bees so docile? When they meet him, isn't it a killer bee? He can't really know oriental magic. Eastwin audience, tear up vinyl. It's amazing. I think it should be the plant juice on him that plays a key role. White bear audience, ZBC. I kneel down to you Chinese people. This moment point global live room point boil again. Countless barrages from the right side of the screen one after another. Covers the entire screen instantly point spectacular. At the same time, inside the global show. See this scene. Steven was stunned point astonished. Angry eyes. My heart turned upside down. Don't know what to do at all. I can hardly believe what I'm seeing is real. Do not want to understand point why treat killer bees that invaders. Can pour out point how could he become so docile in front of him? And the other side point the hostess also had her eyes wide open at this time point stunned. Looking at the old Steve who was still in shock point after a while. He reorganized his language and asked, Professor Steven, why does this happen? Come back to your senses Steven pondered and said word by word, it should be related to the plant sap smeared on him. Unexpectedly, it seems that killer bees are not without weaknesses. They seem to be very afraid of this plant. This Chinese man is too powerful. He seems to know a lot about killer bees, otherwise he would never have made such a move. This young man is really a master of art and daring. Reminds me of talent. Jiang Kui's every move. Steven sighed with emotion. No wonder he dared to break into the swarm alone just now. It turned out to be the weakness of the killer bee. Really amazing. Steven is a top expert in insect research anyway. In the field of research and application of entomogenous fungi, gene reproduction and habits of rare insects all have achieved great results. Countless awards. Even rare insects he also knows a thing or two. Through plant sap point to persuade the killer bee to attack point it was the first time he heard of it. What plant is this? Why does the terrifying killer bee dare not approach it when it sees it? One question after another it didn't stop at all. If the answers to these questions can be found point is it possible to greatly inhibit the lethality of killer bees to humans and animals so as to avoid the outbreak of the bee plague again? Really want this? Killer bees for humans. Chapter 90. Plant ash water plus lard plus honey equals sweet stuff point always make people happy point sweep away tiredness, forget all your troubles. Sweet and sour, bitter and salty point sweetness is the first taste of life point anything sweet point. Even if it's not very tasty point it's not going to be unpalatable either point will always be accepted. Now point sitting on the treetops munch on hard-earned wild beehives. Jiang Kui's heart point that's what it feels like point indescribably happy point. Since landing on the island point this is the first time he has eaten sweet food. Emotion point it is inevitable, although before that point he already had seasonings like salt and pepper, but such a single taste is still too bland after all point compared to these point silent taste buds for sweet food point always a plus. Soon point after eating a piece of honeycomb heartily, Jiang Kui reminisced with satisfaction point with the snatched hive point go down to the tree point and tie the cane point finish dressing point carry a wooden basket and firewood point with loot point immediately return to the camp point killer bees that had plundered their nests until Jiang Kui left point only regained its former vitality point. But it was too late point when reacting point home 19 is gone. After arriving at the place, Dabe rushed over immediately point seems to be interested in the honey in Jiang Kui's hands too. See? Jiang Kui took out a knife and cut off a piece. Sit down. Here. The master's command point Dabe did not dare to neglect point immediately squat down in place. Just a small piece. After speaking, he threw the hive in front of Dab A. Turn around and come to the campfire. With honey. No more monotonous in it tonight. Even if it's simply toasted tapioca. Dip a little. The taste will also be much better than before. Great flavor, the taste of the taste, not to mention more exciting, especially the sweetness that hits the taste buds. It's too easy to satisfy. Soon. Night falls. I finished my dinner in big mouthfuls. Jiang Kui deliberately boiled the water, added some honey to it. I want to make some pure natural honey tea to relieve the fatigue of the day. From back to now. Almost an hour past. Can have a pungent scent. Still no signs of fading. Still very strong. Even Dab A. Don't dare to approach. It was enough to smoke Jiang Kui himself. The sap of Nipita mustard is very sticky. Just water doesn't clean it up at all. Jiang Kui also tried many methods, but it's of no use at all. In the end it really didn't work. Just turn on the system. Exchange the production technology of ancient soap, washing products similar to soap. It has been widely used in people's production and life as early as thousands of years ago. The West has coconut oil. In the East, there are saponin, pig pancreas and so on. They are the earliest cleaning products of mankind, but no matter the East. Still the West. As long as it is a detergent, it is inseparable from sodium carbonate and potassium sulfate. The former is natural lake mineral products, the latter is known. It is a washing product with plant ash as the main washing ingredient. Such an ancient soap. Easy to make. The method is also simple. Removes dirt and oil from your body easily. Been here for almost a month. Although Jiang Kui cleans up his personal hygiene every day. But only use water. It simply doesn't wash off lice, fleas and some dirt. Just take this opportunity. Make a soap. Then take a good shower. Thinking. He drank a glass of hot honey water. Now take out a wild boar, shave off the fat with a knife. Grilled on a slate. Chapter 91. The idea of firing a cistern. Better building materials. Plant ash water plus lard plus honey equals IMHO. This is likely to be the dark dish made by Lord Kui. Weekly ask, what is this? Looks like chocolate. It should be chocolate. Yes, you can eat it. I believe in you. You are very bad, old man. It's said to be chocolate. Your IQ is no longer SETI. There are different opinions in the barrage. Not so lively. But it is undeniable. For the production of Jiang Kui. Everyone is curious. I just guessed for a long time and didn't get the idea. Dab A. Go. Take a bath. 9. Grab a clay pot of soap and water. Jiang Kui raised his throat. Roared. Soon. Big white covered in mud. He jumped up and down from the woods. Pidian followed Jiang Kui's footsteps. Heard. The audience was taken aback. What? Bath. Immediately. Some people reacted quickly. Shit, isn't this thing soap? F***K. This is soap. No way. Can lard and plant ash make soap? Real or fake? Soap is made this way. I don't read much, so let someone who understands explain it. I don't know if it's true or not, but if it says it's chocolate, please get out of the labor force. Eagle Source viewer, it's kind of interesting. Soap is really made of boiled fat and oil with alkali. Darnging audience, Soga. It turned out to be soap, but can this thing really be used as soap? Korean audience, no way. I don't believe it. At the same time, in the China live room, looking at the big screen. Zhu Zhening's eyes lit up immediately. Still nodding his head. Huh. It's really interesting. Even soap is made. Hearing. Zhu Zhening sighed with emotion. Moderator Lin Zhao asked, Academician Zhu, do you also think this thing Jiang Kui made is soap? I don't think so. Zhu Zhening said with certainty. This is soap, although it looks a little simpler. The production principle of this thing is actually much the same as the soap we usually use. It is obtained by mixing oil and alkaline water. It's just that our production process is more complicated. The effect will be better, that's all. The rest is basically the same. So, this is our live stream continues. Soon. Bring Dab A to the river. Jiang Kui took off his clothes. Stand in the stream. Scoop up a large pitcher of water in a clay pot. And then drizzle from head to toe. Then take out the prepared soap and apply it all over the body. At this time, the live broadcast was with Masak. But the audience can still vaguely see the bubbles on Jiang Kui's body. No worse than normal soap. F***K. Sure enough, bubbles. Crap. It's really soap. So soap is made this way. Yi Kingji. Kui has already started to try to wash the fragrance. 26. Even soap can be self-sufficient. Lord Kui, what else is there that you can't? It really surprised me, as a liberal arts student, watching Lord Kui's live broadcast is like watching a sci-fi movie. Haha. Old iron. The principle is actually very simple. With soap, the mustard juice on the body, washes off easily, pungent smell, go away too. Thanks to the addition of honey, the smell of the soap is not only not unpleasant, on the contrary, there is a light fragrance, but this homemade soap, it is very different from normal soap, the effect isn't that bad though. Chapter 92. Shocked. The most awesome waterproof building materials. An ancient technique that has been lost. A cistern is no ordinary building. When choosing building materials, the most important thing that is, it must be ensured that the materials used are insoluble in water, otherwise it will definitely not work. Waterproof building materials. Cement is definitely the best choice, that's right. But the process technology required by modern cement too complicated. Just looking at the ingredients, maybe nothing. Limestone may not be found, though but can use shells instead. The clay required is also nothing. Iron or fines, which can control the coagulation rate, are a tricky one. And it's not over yet. After mixing the above materials, it is also necessary to add less than 3% gypsum to the clinker, and these it's all just raw materials. Then you need to use the rotary kiln, calcined bout, hydraulic equipment. Also make modern cement and modern concrete like this, and the step of burning the cement also consumes a lot of fuel. Energy provided by charcoal and firewood. It can't be done at all because of the process of adding clay and limestone in cement out. The reaction temperature is at least around 1500 to 1600 degrees Celsius, and need to maintain this temperature for a long time. Considering the huge output of cement, the amount of energy this process consumes is staggering, with Jiang Kui's current kilns really stretched. 700. This is also ancient times, an important reason why it is difficult for humans to prepare cement, because of the level of craftsmanship and fuel supply at that time. It is difficult to maintain such a high temperature to fire cement on a large scale for a long time and in large quantities. It seems that we have to find a way to find an alternative material. 8. Cassava. Jiang Kui evokes the system. Look it up in the exchange list. Look carefully around. Better alternatives were quickly discovered. Ancient Roman concrete refining technology. Exchange requires 50,000 survival points. Hey, this is kind of interesting. The production of concrete in ancient Rome has been a mystery until now, and it's been lost. Ancient archaeologists and scientists have explored for centuries, did not want to understand. The ancient Romans were relatively backward in productivity. How to make building materials that are insoluble in water, like Roman bricks, for example. Why is the Pantheon, which existed for 2000 years, so new? What's so mysterious about this technology? This problem. It has always fascinated the academic world. Countless experts and scholars are rushing. BJFH. All want to solve this puzzle in the history of architecture. Research to go. Still no answer. Now, Jiang Kui didn't expect it either. There is a very detailed ancient Roman concrete production technology in the system. The cheating has exploded. The materials required for ancient Roman concrete are simple: seawater plus quicklime plus clay plus sand plus gravel. The reaction temperature is also more than 1000 degrees. No high energy fuel is required. Like coal. Using only charcoal, or even just firewood, makes great Roman bricks. And the most important thing is the waterproof performance of ancient Roman concrete, comparable to modern high-energy concrete. Concrete seawall built by the ancient Romans. It has withstood the impact of the waves for more than 2000 years, and has not fallen yet. It is said that it is the best waterproof building material. Absolutely no exaggeration. The so-called ancient Roman concrete. Simply put, the original mortar is made by mixing lime plus reef lime plus seawater first. The most important thing is the seawater. This is also one of the mysteries of ancient Roman concrete. Chapter 93. Is it cement or concrete? The master architects are all confused. These rough concrete raw materials, it looks very inconspicuous. It's just a bunch of materials that can be seen everywhere mixed together. The surface is off-white. It looks a bit like cement, but it doesn't seem to be as thick as cement. Just a little bit of that, meaning in the live room. See this scene. Many viewers couldn't help but put a question mark in the barrage. What is this? Huh? Master KUI is not making glass. It seems like he is playing with mud. Advanced mud play, it seems. Playing with mud is really addicting. However, this is no ordinary clay. I noticed just now that Lord KUI seems to have added a lot of things into it, including clay, quicklime, crushed stone, coarse sea sand. Brothers, I have a bold idea. He is not making cement, right? What? ZKI. Shit, it looks like cement. Isn't modern cement made of quicklime mixed with clay? Could it be that he worked so hard to collect the raw materials not to do glass, but to upgrade your own building materials? Incredible. Found clues from the live broadcast. The audience is stunned. The barrage boiled again. Just outrageous. K invincible. Cement has been researched. F***K. With cement, didn't Master KUI build whatever he wanted? Eagle Source audience, it turns out, this guy's researching new building materials. Darnging audience, soda. It looks like it's really cement. Even the colors are similar. Isn't this too powerful? If he is given a period of time to develop, there should soon be tall buildings rising from the ground on the island. Korean audience, seriously. I suggest that the program team end the show immediately and declare the Chinese winner. If this goes on, I believe he can make an ICBM. Master KUI is really fierce. The whole reverse version will be scored. Haha. What about the hell start? It's so powerful. All the cement. Just this cement is enough for other players to learn for a lifetime. In the live room, the barrage is flying around. A unique voice of discussion. It never stopped. IDs of all countries can be seen. In the most spoken. It is the foreign audience of the 4 major nationalities. For what Jiang Kui did. Their hearts are both surprised and envious. Not only am I deeply impressed by this Chinese man's ecstasy and unparalleled creativity, even more size why are such awesome players, not from their own country, compare with others. Own players really too salty fish, but wait. They can only be forced to accept this objective fact. The game has already started. You can't change people on the spot, but except for these sounds there are also some senior construction practitioners in the live broadcast room who believe that Jiang Kui's current technology cannot burn modern cement at all. Equipment, temperature, energy and other issues, he can't solve it at all. Not even the more stable charcoal. Calcination of cement. Need to maintain a temperature of nearly 2000 degrees Celsius for a long period of time. Just this one question. Enough to stifle his idea in the cradle. A time. Everyone has their own opinions. Noisy. Here, inside the global studio, in order to find out whether what Jiang Kui made is cement and the feasibility of calcination. An offsite connection. Also in progress. Mr. Bunya, can you hear me? 35 yes. Hello host. Go. One King smiled. Hello. Sorry to interrupt your work. Have you been following our show lately? Certainly. Tobin. Bunya, Eagle Source's most famous architect. Advocate of modernist architecture. Known as the Picasso of architecture. Chapter 94. Classic you draw I guess. Cool design. KUIE will not really be a spaceship. Soon. A row of 6 brick molds all filled with concrete. After it is completely set, it can be demolded. Put it in the kiln for firing. Because ancient Roman concrete did not have too high requirements for temperature. So. Large capacity horizontal flame kiln. It became a very good choice. If the flame kiln is used, it will be too concentrated. Because of the fire. Some unnecessary trouble occurs, like a frying pan. Now. In the live room, when I saw that Jiang Kui was making bricks again. Audiences are pretty sure. These cement like clays, it must be some kind of building material. But as for what it is they don't know. This problem. Even experts in the field of construction are not sure. Not to mention ordinary people without professional knowledge. Soon. The preparatory work is ready, while the brick embryo is not completely finalized. Jiang Kui brought a large bundle of firewood from the shed. Put into the furnace. Set it on fire. Then 700. Clay again. The kiln mouth and chimney have been repaired well. Clay kilns are just that. Every time the kiln is opened. Will need to be repaired with new materials, otherwise it will affect the temperature in the kiln. Big white. Repair the kiln. Jiang Kui shouted at the top of his voice. After 2 or 3 seconds Dabe heard the news and came. He kept circling beside Jiang Kui. See. Jiang Kui observed the fire through the kiln mouth. One side pointed to the burning stick in the distance. Get instructions. Dabe immediately understood. Immediately ran over. Bring the fire stick over. Handed it to Jiang Kui. Good boy. Take the fire stick. Jiang Kui took out a small piece of unfinished honeycomb from the pocket and threw it to it. After more than a month of training. The little guy is making great progress. Not only is the body stronger, for Jiang Kui's words, he is also obedient. It retains its wildness at the same time. It is more suitable for the current life. Although sometimes not so cooperative. But encounter this situation. As long as Jiang Kui stared, it immediately became honest. No way. The aura generated by invisible threat. It's so powerful. Send away Dabe. Jiang Kui uses a fire stick. Tidy up the firewood under the grate. Feel the temperature with your hand. Then go back to the brickwork. Start demolding. The finalized Roman brick is dark gray. Square and upright. Because the ratio of raw materials is quite in place. There are almost no air bubbles on the brick surface. The effect is quite in place. See. Jiang Kui found a log used to press the glass. Put it in front of you. Then sit down. Find slate. Lean on top. The embryo of the Roman brick is no better than the adobe made of clay. Put some grass ash on the ground. Then lift gently. The mold will come off. This concrete is extremely sticky. Special handling is required to complete demolding. If it's still like dealing with adobe. It is almost impossible to succeed. Soon. Set up the slate. Jiang Kui sprinkled a layer of grass ash on top. Then take advantage of the opportunity to pick up a brick embryo and put it on it. Press lightly. Make sure the grass is ash. Only pick up the mold when it can fully feed back to the brick surface. Because the texture of the slate itself is tight enough. At this time, the grass and wood ash on it undoubtedly increased the friction. So when picking up the mold. The brick embryos are naturally left intact on the slate. Not a single cent was damaged. Follow this method. All 6 finished brick embryos have been demolded. At the same time. The temperature in the kiln also rose. Then Jiang Kui was also unambiguous and cleaned the grate. Immediately put the bricks in one by one. Seal the kiln. I don't care anymore. This is also one of the benefits of Roman bricks. No blower is required. Chapter 95. Waterproof. No one. Roman bricks are released. Shock the audience. See blood in the throat, also known as poison arrow wood. Mostly born in rainforests below 1500 meters above sea level. The sap of cura is highly poisonous. Once in contact with human and animal wounds can make the poisoned heart paralyzed. Arrhythmia. Vessel closure. And blood coagulation. To suffocate to death. See the blood seal the throat of the flowering result. Most of the trees are over 100 years old. Venom will be very viscous. The poison arrow tree in front of me. Has already produced fruit. The branches are towering. Leafy. Look. The age of the tree should not be short. In order to verify their own ideas, Jiang Kui casually found a sharp flint in the stream. Use a stone axe to knock out the shell-shaped section. Then slammed into the tree body hard. Boom. Just for a while. A wound cut by a stone. A thick white juice flowed out. See. Dabe leaned forward and was about to lick it. Hastily stopped by Jiang Kui. Dabe, come back. Poisonous. 99 poisonous. Isn't that exaggerated? What kind of tree is this? Seek popular science. It seems that blood seals the throat. If so, the sap must be highly poisonous. Seeing the blood seals the throat, it only takes 1900 hours to bring down a cow. F***K. So scary. Brothers, isn't Master Kui going to study chemical weapons upstairs? If you can speak, we will crowdfund a book for you. See the sap that seals the throat with blood, although it is poisonous, but the bark is very thick. Rich in slender flexible fibers. The surface oil is also very rich. Not soluble in water. In the Panna area of China Yun province. There are still some minorities use the blood to seal the throat to make a cloak, dress, or tube skirt point, but because the sap is poisonous, special handling is required during use. Tap repeatedly with a small wooden stick. Then do a long soak. Until the bark separates from the woody layer. The venom will be wiped clean. At this point, dry again. Remove the glue. You will get a white, thick, soft fibrous layer. This kind of bark is a very good natural waterproof material. Second point, in addition to the bark, the sap that sees blood seals the throat is also very useful. Smear on weapons, arrows instantly full of lethality, even an ordinary wooden arrow point, as long as you smear the sap that sees blood seal your throat. You can instantly change your body. Become a powerful weapon. For Jiang Kui. This poison artery is a good thing. Not only can it increase the lethality of the weapon. It can also be used to make a natural sheet for rainwater collection fans. Thinking. He immediately pulled out the knife. Avoid wounds on trees. Come to the other side. A few cuts were made likely on the bark. Make sure to cut only the fiber layer. Do not damage the wood layer, thus the white sap will not flow out. Soon. After some meticulous cutting. A large piece of bark. It was cut perfectly by him. Isn't this thing poisonous? Is it just the juice poisonous? Master Kui is really a daring person. If it were me, I wouldn't touch this thing. If I killed him, big brother. Seeing blood sealing the throat is a very common tree. Nothing unusual. It's just poisonous sap, and the bark is a very good daily material. Until now, many villages here will use the bark of this tree to its normal to make some scallops, or bark wooden bowls. What's the fuss about? So that's the case. Thank you, big brother science. You've raised your posture. Cut off the bark. Jiang Kui rolled it carefully. Received in wooden basket. Then paste to the bamboo. Without further ado. He swung the stone axe and chopped it. Bang bang bang. Asia Pacific bamboo. Compared with bamboo in mainland China. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96. Patent Application. An unprecedented earthquake in the construction industry. At the same time, inside the global studio, a few minutes ago. In order to better inform the audience. The program team once again connected to the well-known architect Buna at the National Academy of Architecture in Eagle Source. I want to ask him to talk about it, but just now, when Bunel saw the bricks Jiang Kui put in the water, the whole person was instantly stunned on the spot. Eyes hidden behind high myopia glasses stare. Boss, it's like seeing something incredible. Mr. Bunya, looking at the connected big screen motionless Buni, the host Guan King asked tentatively. Still no movement. Eagle Source audience is a little unclear. One after another launched a barrage. Got you, poor old man speaks words. My god. Could it be that you are scared and fooled by this Chinese man? What happened? Professor Bunya, if you have something to say, don't sell it again. Who knows what happened? Screen full of question marks swept across Buna's face. It's been a while. His voice was hoarse. Liushan said slowly, and without a master. Oh. My god, successive exclamations makes the audience look like ants on a hot pan. Almost collapsed. You are too appetizing. If you find something, tell me quickly. At this time. Even some Chinese viewers can't stand it anymore. Gan. I'm about to be driven crazy by this white-haired old man. Stop greeting your god. Say something quickly. That's right. Oh my god. Are you challenging the patience of labor and management? Amazing. I feel like this old master has discovered something earth-shattering. Look at the pop-up screen. Guan King also somewhat realized that something was wrong. So, ask again. Professor Bunya, have you discovered anything? This Bunic hesitated to speak and swallowed one after another. At last. Finally, I couldn't hold back the excitement and emotion in my heart. This is not an ordinary adobe. That's right. This is not an ordinary adobe. With an excellent raw material ratio, just the right firing temperature, discoloration in the presence of water, but not deteriorating. After thousands of years of wind and rain, not only does it not, it will break. but it will become stronger and stronger. At this time point architect Bunya has completely lost his mind point regardless of the host's words, even ignoring billions of viewers around the world. Start talking to yourself. Next second, he stood up trembling point there was no reason to pounce, kneeling directly in front of the screen. This scene point directly fooled the global audience. The barrage exploded instantly. F***K. Oh, no. WTF. My god. What's the matter with this? TM. Crazy. F***CK. What is the trouble with the show team? Is the show effective? Mr. Bunick. Teacher Bunick. What the hell happened? Is this foreign and neurotic? Professor Bunya is the mainstay of the international architecture community, even a benchmark character, but at this moment point he actually knelt on the ground with great excitement in front of billions of viewers around the world, a pair of eyes, just staring directly at the live broadcast screen. WTF. Have to say point this scene point it's unacceptable. Could it be that he really saw something remarkable? Getting too excited. So that's it. Mr. Bunya. The hostess Guan King continued to ask questions, but Bunya on the screen didn't seem to hear it at all, because at this time point all his attention is on the bricks in Jiang Kui's hands. Be a master architect for more than 2000 years of standing, like the miraculous ancient Roman pantheon. Bunya has also researched in depth for decades. I've always wanted to be in my lifetime point through the efforts of points discover the secret of the eternal Roman brick. Find out how to make ancient Roman concrete. Solve this ancient mystery. Decades are a drop in the ocean point in the blink of an eye point just today. Just when he was about to give up point he never dreamed of it point I can see this scene with my own eyes. A young man from China has easily fired a Roman brick that has attracted countless architects. How did he do that? Bunick is still talking to himself. A few minutes past point the surging passion that could not be calm for a long time only cooled down a little. Mr. Bunya, how are you? Here. The host asked questions. Bunya said excitedly. This is not ordinary adobe brick, but a top-notch concrete craft that has been lost for thousands of years. Roman brick. Roman brick. What is that? The voice fell point a wave of barrages is coming. Swept the entire live room. However, for this incident, the audience did not find it too shocking. Not just a brick point stuff everywhere point as for being so excited. What does it mean to be lost for thousands of years? What are Roman bricks? Haha, the little old man is very interesting. A brick is so excited. Yeah. What's so exciting? This kind of brick. I feel that you can buy it at any brick factory. A few cents. You Eagle Source people are too rare and strange. F***K. Roman brick. Don't talk nonsense if you don't understand. This is a lost Roman brick craft. Seeing Bunya so excited point Guan King broke the casserole and asked to the end. Mr. Bunya, the Roman brick you just said is an ancient building material. Can I understand that? Can you tell me specifically? What the hell is going on? Roman brick. Bunya wiped the sweat from his forehead point. Although sanity has been restored point, but I can't hide my excitement. It explains word by word. This is a building material from the Renaissance period in ancient Rome. 99 The Pantheon as we know it is built with this kind of bricks. Chapter 97. Relaunch. Popularity exceeded 10 billion. Column foundation. The pinnacle of classical building materials. Live streaming for a few days. The popularity of Jiang Kui's live broadcast room point reached an unprecedented peak. The cumulative number of viewers of a live broadcast point officially exceeded 10 billion, and the advent of Roman brick point it has attracted a large number of architects and ancient architecture lovers. Come and pay homage. This is from the top classical craftsmanship from thousands of years ago. In the eyes of others, it may be just an ordinary brick point, but in their eyes, this is a super artwork full of the atmosphere of the Renaissance. None of them. Time flies by point this morning. 4 in the morning PT. When it was just dawn point in the China live broadcast room of the strongest nation. There are billions of viewers from various countries. Because they know point after a few days of preparation, the highlight of Master Kui's mysterious fortifications is likely to be revealed soon. So point even if it hasn't aired yet point various barrages popped up like crazy point the scene is magnificent. Come to pay homage to the great god. Kui is cheating. F***K. It's so scary. Lord KUI's popularity has exceeded 10 billion. Too shocking. I just don't know what he will build with these Roman bricks. Looking forward to it. Great God. Kneeling and begging to bring points. You are so powerful as a jungler. God. The popularity of this Chinese is too high. The total popularity of the other 4 players can't beat him. 703. The last few days point audiences from all over the world point watching Jiang Kui busy every day point. But even so point they still hadn't guessed point what the hell is this Chinese man trying to build. Build concrete, fire Roman bricks, collect bamboo, beat the bark of poison arrow wood. So many kinds. Is it going to be a big project? With such doubts every audience is full of curiosity about what Jiang Kui will do next. First, why haven't you started yet? Kui, get up and double row. Master Kui won't reenact a pantheon, will he? No way. Have you read the news? Despair from the Romans. I'm dying of laughter. This patent belongs to our Lord Kui. Haha. Now, inside the global studio, 4 experts and presenters are ready. After the previous shock point Bunny volunteered, came to the studio scene point become a special guest on the live broadcast because he wanted to see it 2 point in the end. This young Chinese man is going to make use of the rare Roman bricks in the world point. What an extraordinary building to make. Dear viewers, welcome to today's The Strongest Nation. I'm King, the host of the International Live Broadcast Room. After more than a month of competition, there has been a very obvious gap in the points of the players of various nationalities. A few simple opening remarks as usual. King introduced the players' points and summary of the previous situation. Then she immediately shifted the conversation to Jiang Kui. The advent of Roman bricks shocked many viewers, and saw the subtlety of this ancient Roman craft with their own eyes. Through the live broadcast a few days ago, we learned that Jiang Kui has stocked up a lot of building materials in his camp. I believe it's not just me. All the experts here, and the audience in front of the screen, should also be curious. What is the ultimate goal of his painstaking efforts to create these building materials? The words fall point. The director gives a prompter and move the camera to Bunny. Seeing this, Bunny pondered. Actually, there are many uses for Roman bricks. It's a great classical building material. About the advantages of Roman brick, I have mentioned it in Wired before. As for what Jiang Kui will use it for, I don't know yet, because it's hard to get an accurate answer just by looking at his design drawings. After all, the amount of information given is not much point judging from the appearance of the building. There are some wishing ponds in classical French gardens, tastes like a Japanese fountain. I have never seen a similar building. Let's wait and see. Chapter 98. Rainwater Collection Tower. Found mysterious metal ore. Immediately after build the column point. Next point it is to build the main body of the pool on the column. Use cut bamboo first point one after another. Lay the bottom on the column point. It is then fixed with concrete point. Smooth it out. Finally, leave the left and right water outlets. Continue with Roman bricks. Follow the previous routine point building up layer by layer. Take into account both to meet the irrigation point and meet the daily water. The capacity of the pool must be large enough point, otherwise it will be embarrassing point soon. Point after a circle of construction point. The wall of the pool point has reached a certain height point. Just stand on the ground point. Can't work anymore point. Then Jiang Kui took the triangular ladder from before point. Climb up and continue point. A layer of soil point. One layer of bricks. That's it point. Because the material is well prepared point. In just a few moments, the main body of the pool was built. Subsequently point there is a subject point. The rest of the work is nothing complicated point. The first is leveling the bottom of the pool point. Then fill the gaps point at the 4 corners of the pool point. Make a wooden hook to mount the bark collection fan. Refined water outlet point. Put the 2 bamboo tubes that were dried in advance point. Insert into it point. Secure with concrete point. A water pipe goes straight to the farmland point. One is used as a shower in the bathroom point. These work point. Complicated is not complicated point, but because there is no professional trowel beach trowel in hand point, there is only one bucket made of bark. In the whole process it is still a bit difficult to operate point, especially some fine workmanship point. But point the problem is not big point. Through hardships Jiang Kui has long had enough patience. There are no handy tools, it's just a waste of time. Not a big deal. Soon. After some work. Here. The pool is almost complete. Last thing to do. It is to fill the inside of the pool with dry firewood. The same goes for the outside. Wherever concrete is used. Will need to be burned with firewood. Ancient Roman concrete. Not hydraulic. This thing is no better than cement. It changes when mixed with water. Cement hardens naturally when it dries, but ancient Roman concrete would not. So. When the project is completed. Must be fired. To be shaped. Of course you can use it without burning it. But the hardness will be greatly reduced. At this time. In the live room, Jiang Kui is busy. One after another. The barrage never stopped. Many spectators were debating the new building in the camp. Say anything. Some thought it was a pool. Some thought it was some kind of container. Due to the shape of the building. It looks a lot like an oriental ancient tripod. Some foreign audience. Even more stubbornly believed that Jiang Kui was creating ancient sacrificial utensils. Just mind blowing. Soon. After surrounding the cistern with firewood, Jiang Kui brought a fire and lit all the firewood inside the pool. Since there are bamboo pipes and some bamboo materials inside. So before burning. He deliberately wrapped the flammable material with clay first. Break it up after it's cooked. Clay is easy to clean after all. Soon. Go on fire. It lasted for half an hour before it was completely extinguished. The fire subsided. Only the ashes of the ground remain. Now look at the pool. Has been refurbished. Become very hard. Then Jiang Kui took out the pre-made collection fan. Tie it to the top of the pool with rattan. Collect fans on all sides. The huge mouth opened repeatedly. Very peculiar. Thus, whether it is collecting rainwater, still storing water inwards. Chapter 99. True Metal Master. Lord Kui is going to make an alloyed head. At the beginning, Jiang Kui isn't too sure either. Just know it's granite. It looks like it has tin in it. Then until he used a knife. Scrape down a layer of powder on the rock surface. On your fingertips. Just feel it for sure. This is a typical granite associated tin mine. It also seems to contain bronze, lead and other ingredients. Similar ores most cases grow in the fractured zone of rock formations after a long period of sedimentary reconstruction or metamorphism. It gradually became like this. Thinking, Jiang Kui picked up the ore. Stand up. Glancing around. Finally. Sure enough, it was below the slope not far away. Found a huge side. The rock formation fault valley with a strong sense of violent road. See. He collects the ore. Walked over in stride. The valley is not big. Very narrow. Space below. Only one person can be accommodated. Because it is hidden in the grass. 707. The location is very hidden. Rock structures on both sides rough and rough. Countless grey matter ores during the scatter. Look. Not torrents. It is a fracture caused by geological changes and other reasons. Think about it. Jiang Kui finds his way down into the valley. Randomly from cracked natural deposits. Pick up a rock. Take a closer look again. That's right. It is indeed a quartz vein type tin ore. Tin is one of the first metals discovered and used by humans. Pure tin is silver white. The surface has a strong gloss. It is one of the most stable compounds in the Earth's crust. Long ago, Chinese people have already started to use tin, copper and lead to produce bronze utensils. Tin ore reserves are very large in the world. There are many advantages too. Soft and malleable. The chemical surname is stable. Anti-corrosion. Fusible. Low coefficient of friction. Absolutely good stuff. Make use of it. Can create a very bullnose copper tin alloy. It surprised me that come out and chop wood. Found such a baby. Interesting. It seems this small island is located in the wilderness of the South Pacific. Not only the vegetation is dense. Mineral resources are also very rich. Big, white, stand under the broken valley. Jiang Kui shouted. Soon. A cute dog head. Peeked down from above. It seems to be asking what's wrong with me. Jiang Kui gestured at it. Dabe immediately understood. Turn around and slip away. When he came back, the wooden basket was already in his mouth. Drop it. Receive a wooden basket. Jiang Kui was overjoyed. Picked a lot of high quality associated ores. Got a full basket. Subsequently he pulled out a cane. One end is tied around the waist. One end is connected to the wooden basket. Find a relatively low place to climb out. Then he pulled up the wooden basket full of ore. Big. White. Look what I found. Back on the ground. Jiang Kui sat on the ground. Pick up a piece of ore from the wooden basket. He smiled and showed off in front of Dabe. But for this kind of thing Dabe didn't seem to be interested at all. Just an understatement. To add twice he turned his attention elsewhere. Take ore. Jiang Kui smiled helplessly. It doesn't matter if this guy understands it or not. Chapter 100. Extraordinary sound. Recurve bow and cross-piercing arrow. In the eyes of the audience this small grain of metal might be a little trivial, but for Jiang Kui this is a starting point to start a major smelting technology innovation. With it there are more handy tools. With more handy tools, there are endless possibilities. If you want to do good work, you must first sharpen your tools. This sentence is the same, no matter where it is. Came to this isolated island for more than a month. Jiang Kui made a lot of tools. There is a camp with food. Have a partner, you can live a better life. But that's all. He is not satisfied. Because he had thought about a question more than once. That is. Have lived. That land and city on the other side of the ocean. Is it still there? He really wanted to go out and see. What has the earth become like? But with his previous abilities not enough to create a seagoing vessel suitable for sailing. But now with these alloys he believed this day should not be too far away. Looking at the metal pellet in his hand, Jiang Kui was overjoyed. I'm very excited. Present. Quickly find a clay pot. The metallic tin particles that will be hidden in the slag. Found out 1 to 2 to go. A full collection of small cans. Condition is very good. Due to the addition of quicklime. The degree of oxidation is also just right. It's just that the purity is a bit unsatisfactory. But that's okay. Wait and find some copper or mixed together. Once you practice, you should be fine. Thought here. Before the sun goes down, Jiang Kui set off again. Came to the collection of the copper mine. 3 times, 5 divisions, 2 places, and another big basket came out. After returning to camp again. He still followed the same routine. The pure copper is first separated from the ore. Then take the crucible again. Add a certain amount of tin to it. The approximate ratio is 20 grams of tin for every 100 grams of copper. Because there is no accurate measurement tool. It can only be estimated. Almost there. There are ore materials. Jiang Kui turned on the rising flame kiln again. Set up the crucible. Refill the charcoal. Wait until the fire comes up. Immediately pull up the lever of the blower. A new round of smelting begins. With previous smelting experience, Jiang Kui's operation. It also became more and more familiar. It has reached the level of redness. Just looking at the charcoal fire and the crucible. You can roughly tell the degree of oven temperature. When to move. When should you stop? It's all under control. That's the importance of experience. Most of the time. These valuable experiences are even more important than sophisticated equipment. Look at Jiang Kui's skilled operation. Another wave of 666 floated past in the live broadcast room. Soon. About an hour past. While the charcoal continues to heat up. The mixed metal in the crucible has melted into a red fluid. Almost muttered. Jiang Kui lowered the blower lever. Take out the wooden tongs. Clamp the crucible out. Put the molten metal inside. It was poured on the lime chopping board that was made earlier. Due to the lower melting point of the alloy. The cooling time has also been shortened a lot. Soon, a piece of metal with a black colorful surface. Appeared in front of Jiang Kui. See. He hurried to get the water. Found a slate. Pick up the metal block. Grind up quickly on it. Soon. When the top layer of oxide is ground off, copper alloys are typically bluish white. Impressively jumped into view. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.